a new energy saving scheme kicks in. It's between 5 and 6. People who have registered on it will be paid to cut their peak time electricity use, because the national grid has been facing huge demand. As Paul Hudson, our weather forecaster, explained, a lot of it down to the weather, the cold snap, the lack of wind, etc. Meanwhile, Ofgem is investigating energy firms after a rise in households being forced onto prepayment meters. Let's speak to Dr. Johnson Fernandes, who is the CEO of equiwatt and a specialist in peak energy usage reduction. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Richard.
Just talk to us about this scheme then, for people who perhaps haven't heard of it. I know there'll be people listening who have maybe registered to be a part of it, but what's it all about?
Yeah, the scheme is all about reducing peak time energy demand on the grid by engaging houses, energy consumers, you and me. Whatever peak time energy usage demand that we've got from high intensive appliances, by turning them off, we can do the national grid a service, not just the national grid, it's for everyone involved really. So the grid has launched the scheme called the demand flexibility service, by which it is providing rewards up to £20 per event is available for households to reduce their demand. And the scheme has been launched because, as you said rightly, because of the cold winter, because of low electricity supplies, there's a tighter margin with which it has to be filled up by standby sources of energy. Most of the time, they're polluting sources. For example, the 3 coal power plants had to be put on standby, and this is certainly not the way forward. So, what the demand flexibility service enables is an alternative way, an innovative way, a phenomenal shift by engaging consumers at their home to come together collectively to reduce their high intensive energy usage, so that we can avoid turning on those coal power plants, for example.
What kind of things are people being asked to not use then? What kind of household items are we steering away from?
Yeah, Richard, that's a very good question. So I mentioned energy intensive appliances, isn't it? But anything and everything helps really. So starting from, your washing machines to your dishwashers to any unnecessary lamps that you've got on. But certainly if you want to see a bigger impact, it's those energy intensive appliances that are going to give you the bigger rewards. So even electric vehicle charging, for those of you who charge your EVs at peak times, they are going to have a high strain on the grid, and which means if you reduce energy usage, you get a higher payment.
There was some talk a while ago that people were going to be incentivized maybe to do the washing in the middle of the night, or do their electric car charging at 5 a.m, this kind of thing, for people to try and do things that you've just been talking about outside of hours. Is that still a helpful thing to do? And do you think that's a scheme that could be explored further?
Yeah, certainly. That's a scheme that will imminently come up as well. So, what companies like Equiwatt and the National Grid are enabling is flexibility in terms of energy demand, right? So, right now, the flexibility is for turning down usage at peak times, but your flexibility is also turning up usage when there is low peak. So, when there's excess energy in the grid, and most of those times when there's excess solar energy, excess wind energy, and if there's no one to use that energy, that energy gets wasted, and that wasted energy costs people in their energy bills as well.
Is there a danger this will lead to a 2-tier or maybe more energy pricing system, where it's going to cost people more to use electricity and gas units at peak times than it does outside of that? Or is that maybe a good thing? I mean, what would your thoughts be on that?
Yeah, so there's no one answer for this. So that's what the National Grid's demand flexibility service is. It's trialing one initiative, but there are various different initiatives that can be trialed, where it's 30-minute pricing versus two-tier pricing, or like the economy 10, economy 7 tariff as well. However, I think the most and easiest way for consumers is in my personal opinion, a flat tariff, whereby they really understand, and it's simple for them to actually manage the energy usage, and incentives such as the DFS service when it's extremely surge of demand in the grid, or when there is a low peak time in the grid, you get incentives for being flexible, really. And these incentives are delivered using easy to use technology, like the equiwatt app, for example, is a really simple to use app. You download it, find the app on the Play stores, connect your smart meter, and then you respond to peak time event notifications. Now, in that process as well, right, what happens is consumers become more and more aware of the energy usage by engaging with the app. So they understand what is the impact a certain appliance has, and using the smart meter and an in-home display, for example, where you can see your live energy usage, you eventually become more and more aware. Of some of our users repeatedly, by participating in an event, they tell us that, okay, we have actually reduced our energy bill because this kind of mechanism has helped us understand our energy usage, not just at peak times, but overall. And ultimately, this solves two things. It helps by being people more aware. It helps us reduce our carbon footprint as well, because we are reducing our energy demand in the grid, and it helps people reduce their energy bills in the process as well.
Well, thank you for explaining it to us, Dr. Johnson Fernandes, who is the CEO of equiwatt. Good afternoon to you then. If you've registered and you're taking part in that scheme between 5 and 6 this year, let us know. Probably best to get it done now, so you're not sort of using any energy to tell me after 5 o'clock. It's interesting, isn't it? I think, sometimes these tariffs and trying to work out what's costing what, hard enough anyway without getting different costs. I don't. Maybe it's just me. I'm always a bit suspicious. You kind of get the feeling that the peak hour pricing would go up, but would the general pricing go lower? I don't know.